Hello, welcome to Alan Osborne's presentation. Today my presentation is on my journey of understanding ethics on the 22nd of March 2021. So firstly, I wanted to talk about this subject, but I wasn't allowed since it wasn't on the 8 subjects. So I shall quickly talk about this first. Society is the real key to morals and virtual development. So here we have 3 pictures. The first one is the Simpsons campaign, and this represents nomadic people and them kind of people. And in the middle we have a comfortable Western family, and over here we have a king devouring chicken and not really worrying about things. So we can say they're all equal, but at the same time you can understand why, if people are more comfortable and they don't have to struggle for food, we're potentially more happy, more better people. It's obviously questionable to say the king is better than these people over here. And I've got some American representations too. So here we have a cowboy. So in the Wild West, yes, it was a dangerous place. It was a very nomadic kind of lifestyle. And then they've kind of moved on to here. And I guess the ultimate aspiration would be something like to become like Donald Trump. So it's not to say anyone is better than anyone else, but I think more people would rather have Donald Trump's lifestyle than the lifestyle of a cowboy. So, that is my first point, that society is the building block of morals and virtues. So if we don't have somewhere to stay, if we're not comfortable, a society can't build and develop. And if we can't trust each other to help each other, it all kind of helps. Okay, so next, I thought I saw this guy here, and it was kind of interesting. There was a lot of information, but I decided to change my mind. But I'll quickly talk about his theory too. So his name is JeanJacques Rousseau. There we go. You know where he was born. He had quite a hard life. I mean, his first part of his life was okay, but his father had to run away because he did something. And then he was okay until he was about 16, living in Switzerland. And then he went to work for an apprentice in a grave or something, but he apparently, it was a brutish, so he must have got abused or beaten. So he ran away. And then I had to look up the word vagrant, because I thought it meant he was homeless, but it meant he was kind of travelling, and he must have got a lot of experience travelling, because by the time he got to Paris he was able to become a philosopher. And his philosophy argued that it was about education and about the importance of education, and how society is can manipulate if we don't kind of help. So we need education to encourage a more natural progress in nature, and it's based around love. So he kind of felt that if you're in school and you're forced what to do and told what to do, you'll never become yourself. But if you're left alone and you could discover yourself, and you didn't have too much people kind of conflict, it was better. So pure inner feelings. He was very controversial for his work, but also prize winning, because he painted a horrible picture of Paris and how it was very hard to live there. So at one point he had to leave, but he came back. And he had a go at society, saying that it was very hard to become a virtuous character if school was very like formal and strict. But he never bothered to kind of question his own ideas, which would be in the same kind of theme, because he once wrote, "Women are made to pleasure men. This is a law of nature. Women are fools to please and live in subjection. So you must return yourself, grieved with a man, provoking his wrath. Instead of provoking his wrath, her strength lays in her charms," which is clearly a very sexist thing to say. It's almost saying men deserve all the happiness and should be left free, but women, they have a role in life, which is kind of not very ongoing. So that was that. So my next part is cultural relativism. I thought this was more interesting. See, over here we have the whites and we have Moors. Over there we have the Indians, who were forced off the land, and it was given to people who invaded a country on the basis that the Indians weren't using it enough or weren't using it properly, and that seemed to be justification to like push them off the land and kill them. But over here we have people who hunt heads and eat the brains. And I did read some of the Moors in a book. There was quite a lot about this, because apparently they didn't eat people from their own community. They had to go to another community to get their head. So I mean, they had some kind of morals. But the whole point of cultural relativism is that people are allowed to believe what they want or do what they want as such. But over here you have the Indians. They were like doing their own thing, and we came along and just eliminated them. But over here we didn't eliminate them as such. We just kind of like, well, we probably shouldn't be doing that. And as we go over here, next we'll talk about that in a minute. So, and over here, the next one is Darwin. He's very famous, obviously, for his theory of evolution, but it was used also to justify slavery and mistreatment of people, which is not good, because he suggested that not all people were equal and like brutish, and like basically because their civilization wasn't developed as in the same kind of way, and they were like different looking slightly. So this was not good. I mean, we're taking quite a good theory about butterflies and the development of animals and used it to against us. So these cultures have come to understand that some of their beliefs were mistaken. Thus, instead of condemning the headhunters, slavery, the murder and the theft of the past, we may excuse their behaviour on the ground that their actions were based on misinformation or incorrect beliefs. So even Darwin, I mean, if he was alive today, may say, sorry, yeah, maybe those tribal people were not crazy, backwards people. Maybe they just didn't have access to tools or didn't want to do the same things. And the headhunters, I mean, if they've changed their kind of customs, and they mostly have, apparently it still happens, but it happens a lot less. If they've changed their customs, then we shouldn't judge them too much, because it was the past. And the same for slavery. People do get upset about slavery and say how people should say sorry, and I don't know how we can say sorry so much. It's like it's happened, it's in the past, people thought it was okay, but it's not, and we know. But cultural relatives, on the other hand, say, well, actually, there's no reason to say sorry. There's no reason to excuse their behaviours, because what they did was nothing wrong. So they're saying that headhunters should carry on just chopping the heads off their rivals and sucking the brains out and giving the heads to the brides, and there's nothing wrong with it. But this is not necessarily a good way to think. So I'm going to finish my last slide here. I've got here an Iranian lawyer, rights activist, Nobel Prize winner, who says the idea of cultural relativism is nothing but an excuse to violate human rights, stating that customs of any culture are no better or worse than these of other preludes as from passing and any judgment on repulsive customers that violate human rights and dignity, which is true too. I mean, there probably has to be a standard, but there is a grey area. But this is the grey area is grey. This is suggesting that a lot of people try to push customs into that grey area when they don't have any right, such as racism and xenocism and all the other kind of problems that we have now. So that is me. Sorry I went on a bit longer, just on to the, to make sure I know I understand. Thank you and goodbye.